Rainforests. When you hear that word, you probably picture this incredible, almost overwhelmingly green world, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Like towering trees, kapok trees maybe, reaching way up.
Right. And just life everywhere, this vibrant buzz, even down on the ground, amazing fungi doing their thing in the shadows. It really paints a picture of pure vitality.
It does. Pure, untamed life. But just under that beautiful surface, woven into all that dense green, there's a hidden reality.
A hidden arsenal, almost. Creatures that have survival figured out, often in, well, pretty deadly ways.
Exactly. People often have this romantic idea, this peaceful image of the rainforest, but you have to think about the reality.
The competition.
Yeah, the fierce competition for everything: light, food, space, and just the sheer density of life all packed together. Danger isn't really an intruder there. It's like part of the system.
Woven right in. So yeah, this isn't some gentle walk in the park we're talking about.
Not at all.
And that's what this deep dive is about. We want to look past that beautiful facade, explore the more perilous side of the rainforest. We'll look at some inhabitants that can make a simple trek, well, a lot more intense than you might expect.
It's important to remember the timescale here, too. Millions of years of evolution.
Right. Honing survival strategies.
Exactly. Equipping these creatures with defenses that are, frankly, formidable. A mistake there isn't just a small slip-up.
No, the consequences can be really severe. You're in their world.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's get into it. A perfect example of this hidden danger has to be the fer-de-lance.
Ah, yes. A classic example.
A pit viper, right? Found in Central and South America, and they've been documented for ages. Herpetology records go back to the 60s at least.
They're significant. And what makes them so dangerous is that combination of traits they possess.
Like the venom.
Definitely the venom. It's incredibly potent. It can cause really severe tissue damage, necrosis. And sadly, yes, it can be fatal if you don't get a treatment quickly.
But it's not just the venom, is it? It's also their ability to just disappear.
That's arguably just as critical. Their camouflage is extraordinary. They blend right into the leaf litter on the forest floor.
Masters of disguise. You could walk right past one.
Easily.
Yeah.
Feet away, and you'd have no idea. And their strike is lightning fast.
How do they do it? The camouflage, I mean. Is it the pattern?
It's several things. The colors, mottled browns, grays, yellows, they mimic dead leaves and shadows perfectly.
Oh.
And their head shape, it's quite triangular, which helps break up their outline against the, uneven ground. It makes them incredibly effective ambush predators.
Waiting in plain sight.
Which reminds me of that terrible incident in Costa Rica back in 2018 with the hiker.
Oh, that story's chilling. Just hiking, and then bang, bitten.
Collapsed right there in the jungle. Needed emergency anti-venom. Lucky to survive.
It really drives home that deadly precision you mentioned, and the need for constant vigilance. Just be aware of where you're putting your feet.
Absolutely. That incident, it highlights that even something routine like hiking carries real risks when you're in an ecosystem with highly venomous animals.
You have to respect the environment.
You do. Respect it. Be prepared. Understand you're the visitor in their territory. The fer-de-lance is a stark reminder of that hidden threat.
Right. Okay, so it's not just the snakes or the big predators we need to think about. Let's zoom in a bit. Insects.
Yes. People often overlook insects, maybe because they're small. But in the rainforest, their numbers and sometimes the sheer power of their defenses, they can be incredibly dangerous.
Let's start with one that has a pretty intimidating name. The bullet ant.
Even the name tells you something, doesn't it? Found in Amazonian rainforests.
And yeah, the sting is famously compared to, well, being shot. I remember reading about that. Entomology studies from the 90s described it as just excruciating.
Agonizing. Reportedly something like 24 hours of intense throbbing pain from just one sting.
What makes it so bad? What's in the venom?
It's a specific peptide, ponerotoxin. It directly messes with the nervous system, causes intense pain, muscle contractions. It's really something else.
Wow.
And culturally, it's interesting, too. Some indigenous groups in the Amazon actually use these stings in initiation rites.
Seriously? As a test?
As a test of endurance, yeah. It tells you just how potent that sting really is if it's used like that.
I can't even imagine choosing to endure that. Okay, then there's the assassin bug. Another name that doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
No, it doesn't. And it's quite accurate, unfortunately. The bite isn't just painful right away.
What else happens?
They inject saliva with enzymes that start to liquefy tissue, like their prey's insides.
Oh, that's grim.
It can lead to really nasty infections in humans. And though it's rare, there have been fatal allergic reactions recorded.
Fatal. From a bug bite.
Yes. There was that tragic case, I think it was 2007, a farmer in Brazil died from complications after an assassin bug bite.
That's terrifying. It just shows you can't underestimate these smaller creatures.
Absolutely not. They pose a very real threat.
Okay, so we've covered snakes, insects. What about amphibians? I'm thinking specifically of those incredibly vibrant but deadly poison dart frogs.
Ah, yes. Visually stunning creatures. Those bright colors are basically a warning sign in nature. Don't touch.
And it's a serious warning.
Extremely serious. Research, particularly from Colombia's Chocó region since the 70s, has really shown how incredibly toxic they are.
And the toxin is the trichotoxin.
That's the one, a potent neurotoxin.
And the stats are just mind-blowing. Like one frog carrying enough poison to kill, what is it, 10 people? 20.
Up to 20 adult humans, potentially. It's staggering.
How does something so tiny have that kind of power?
Well, interestingly, they don't actually make the toxin themselves. They get it from their diet.
From what they eat?
Yeah, certain insects, mites in the rainforest, the toxin accumulates in their skin. It works by disrupting nerve signals, leading to muscle paralysis, potentially heart failure.
And indigenous hunters figured this out centuries ago.
Yeah. They did. Carefully scraping the poison onto their blowgun darts made hunting much more effective.
So just touching one, if that toxin gets into your bloodstream through a cut or something.
It could be fatal, yes. It's that whole deceptive beauty thing again. So alluring, but hiding this incredible danger.
It really makes you think about how danger shows up in nature. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's right there in bright colors.
Exactly, a paradox of sorts.
Okay, so moving away from the tiny terrors, let's shift focus to some of the bigger predators you might encounter, the heavy hitters maybe, like the green anaconda.
Now, there's a truly impressive animal. The sheer size and weight, it's the world's heaviest snake.
Right, they can get huge, like 30 feet, and way over 500 pounds.
Easily. Their physical power is just immense.
I remember reading about that fisherman in Peru, 2014. Got constricted by one.
He was incredibly lucky to survive. Suffered broken ribs, I believe.
Just gives you a sense of that raw strength. What makes them such effective predators?
Well, their size lets them take down really large prey caimans, deer, things like that. And they're mostly aquatic.
So they wait in the water.
Exactly, lurking in rivers, swamps. So for a person in a remote waterway, especially if you're not expecting it, yeah, they pose a definite risk.
Okay. And then giant centipedes. They don't sound pleasant either.
No, not pleasant. Encounters are less common, perhaps, but their venom is potent enough to paralyze small mammals.
So a bite could be serious for a person.
For an unwary explorer, maybe someone turning over a log or disturbing leaf litter, yeah, a bite would be very painful and potentially dangerous. Not something you want to mess with.
Definitely not. Okay, so we've hit snakes, insects, frogs, big constrictors, creepy crawlies. But there's one more story I wanted to touch on, a real incident that kind of hammers home the unpredictability of it all.
Okay.
The Africanized bees in Costa Rica, the killer bees back in the 80s.
Ah, yes. That's a truly harrowing story. It shows how even something seemingly normal, like bees, can become incredibly dangerous incredibly quickly.
What makes them so different, so aggressive?
Africanized bees are much, much more defensive of their hives than European honeybees, the kind most people are familiar with. They react faster with more bees, and they pursue threats for much longer distances.
And in this incident, hikers just stumbled on a swarm.
Accidentally disturbed them, yes. And these bees just went after them, chased them for nearly 2 miles through the jungle.
2 miles. Can you imagine that? A relentless swarm just chasing you?
It's terrifying to think about. The sheer number of stings they inflict in an attack like that is what makes them so dangerous.
Miraculously, the group survived. But, I mean, traumatized, obviously. And one person ended up hospitalized.
Yes. Due to severe allergic reactions to the massive number of stings, it's a stark reminder that danger isn't always a snake or a jaguar. Sometimes it's a buzzing hive you didn't even see.
What does that tell us about sort of our assumptions when we go into nature?
It really shows how our experiences in, say, more managed environments can give us a false sense of security in truly wild places. We assume bees are just bees, but ecology and behavior can be vastly different. It just underscores that need for constant awareness, for not making assumptions about what's safe.
So wrapping this up, I guess the main takeaway from this whole deep dive is respect. Rainforests are stunningly beautiful, but they demand profound respect.
Absolutely. Beneath that green canopy, there's this incredible arsenal of defenses, venom, teeth, claws, immense strength.
Survival there isn't about being tough. It's about being aware, careful.
Precisely. From the fer de lance hiding in the leaves to the agony of a bullet ant sting, it's just not a place for the unprepared or the careless. Danger can be anywhere.
And yet, people are still drawn to them, aren't they?
Yeah.
That allure, that incredible vibrancy, it persists despite the risks.
It does. Maybe, in a way, the presence of that danger sharpens our appreciation, makes us engage more fully.
Could be. Forces us to be humble, maybe. And definitely prepared.
That's a really insightful point. It forces us to acknowledge the raw power of nature, not just its beauty, to meet it on its own terms.
So, as you, our listener, think about all this. The snakes, the insects, the bees. Maybe consider this. What hidden dangers might exist in beautiful, natural places closer to where you live?
Places that seem safe.
Exactly. How often do we let our perception of safety cloud the reality of the wild? Something to think about, definitely. That balance between wonder and risk as we explore the natural world around us.